All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for a Yin Yoga class. This is going to be a floor-based class, so if you're not already on the floor, go ahead and get down there. For this class, you don't need any fancy yoga props. You can either use a yoga mat or a carpet or both. And you might want some blankets, pillows of different sizes, and or maybe even some books around you. If you have like yoga bolsters and yoga blocks, you're welcome to use those, but otherwise household items like books and blankets and pillows are really wonderful substitutes for fancy yoga props. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and get started in a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana with one foot in front of the other. Take a moment, kind of rock back and forth. And then evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones, sit up nice and tall. You can place your hands on your knees facing down as a symbolic gesture that you're really starting to root into your body, root into the space around you, into the current time and place that you're in, the current moment, the present moment. Or if you'd like, you can have your palms face up as a symbolic gesture that you're kind of open to whatever this class or maybe even like a higher power brings your way. So just being open to whatever this world brings you today. Go ahead and close your eyes, sit up tall, drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, take a slow inhale through your nose, and a slow exhale through your nose. And we're gonna start with a breathing exercise called I am, thank you. The idea is you inhale through your nose, you'll silently tell yourself, I am, and then come up with like a noun, adjective, or verb. And then as you exhale through your nose, you'll say, thank you. So I'll start us out with 3, you'll get the idea, and then we'll go on to some time where you can just let those I am statements flow. Okay, relax your face, seal your lips, and begin. Inhale through your nose. As you inhale through your nose, silently repeat to yourself, I am breathing. As you exhale through your nose, silently tell yourself, thank you. As you inhale through your nose, silently say to yourself, I am a yogi. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am safe. Exhale through your nose, thank you. And we'll continue with 2 more minutes of I am, thank you statements. If at any point these statements become unkind or untrue, you're just gonna practice compassion with yourself, repeating nice self-affirming statements. If your mind is wandering, just returning to the I am, thank you statements. Okay, and I'll lead us in 3 communal I am thank you statements to end. As you inhale through your nose, silently tell yourself, I am loved. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am practicing yoga. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale, I am in my body. Exhale, thank you. As you're ready, slowly open your eyes. You can roll out your shoulders or make any other motions with your body that feels good. So for Yin Yoga, we're going to hold postures for 3 to 5 minutes. Yin Yoga comes kind of as a reaction to Yang styles of yoga, which are more like energetic, like power yoga, hot yoga, vinyasa, stuff like that. Yin is floor-based, it's gentle, and rather than contracting muscles to get into postures, we're going to relax muscles to get in postures. So our first posture of the day is a wide-legged child's pose that we're going to hold for a total of 5 minutes with slightly different arm variations throughout. So you're going to start in tabletop. Bring your feet together, open your knees, and as you're ready, you're going to sink your hips down and reach your arms forward so your forehead comes down to the floor. Now, right away, if you find that there's a huge gap between your calves and your thighs, you can place pillows or blankets behind your knees so that there's some extra support there. If you have tight toes, ankles, or knees, you can roll up your mat or place a little bit of a blanket underneath your ankles or knees so there's support there. You are welcome to place blankets underneath your forehead, under your chest. And if having your arms forward does not feel good for your shoulders, you can also have your arms down by your side. So there's lots of different ways to use props, just like blankets and pillows, to really work into the body in a way that feels good for you. And for the first minute, we're just holding here with a long spine. So you're starting to work into your hips, your inner thighs. You're also stretching through the lower back, middle back, upper back, keeping your neck long. If your arms are forward, you're working into the shoulders as well. As you inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand. You can take a really big breath here if it helps you to stretch out the back. And as you exhale through your nose, let your chest and shoulders fall. Feel your ribs gently contract. So with every exhale, you're just getting a little bit softer. Again, rather than contracting muscles to get into postures, in Yin Yoga, we want to relax muscles to get into postures. So it's sometimes called waiting and waiting. Wait as in W-A-I-T, like you're practicing patience, and wait as in W-E-I-G-H-T, as in you're using your own body weight to sink deeper into the posture. Waiting and waiting. As you're ready, we're going to make this a little bit of a bended spine posture. If your hands are in front of you, start to walk your hands to the right side of your mat. You can place your left hand over your right hand. Keep your forehead on the floor in between your arms so that your spine is long. Neck is rounding in line with the rest of the spine. And if having your arms forward doesn't feel good, right, you can keep your arms down, but still move your forehead to the right side of your mat. So either way, we're gently starting to stretch the left side body, gentle compression to the right side body, holding here for 1 minute. We'll do the other side. If your hands are to the right side, you're going to walk your hands back to center. And now walk your hands to the left side of your mat. You can cross your right hand on top of your left hand, stretching the right side body, gently compressing the left side body, waking up the spine. And again, if having the arms forward does not feel good, you can have your arms down and just move your forehead to the left. At this point, the lower body has, been in this child's pose, this hip opener, for a while. You might feel some new sensations in the lower body. Notice where you're holding on to tension and see if you can just kind of release into the posture, like melt into the posture rather than fighting it. Slowly walk your hands back to center. Next, we'll do a spine twist. Keep your left arm long in front of you. Slide your right arm in between your left arm and your torso, tilting the right shoulder down towards the floor, right ear on the floor. It's called threading the needle. Now we're working into deltoid shoulder. You're welcome to place a pillow or blanket under your head if that feels more supported. You can keep your left arm bent with your left hand on the floor close to your mat. You can keep your left arm long in front of you, left arm down by your side, or you can reach your left arm up to the ceiling, drape behind you, at first maybe touching your back, eventually even placing your left fingertips on your right thigh for a bind. Holding here for a minute. You have your left hand draped behind you for a bind, reach it back up towards the sky, place your left hand on the floor, press your left hand into the floor, unthread the needle, reach your right arm long, and this time slide left arm underneath right arm, looking to the right, left ear on your mat. And again, you can have your right arm long, arm bent, hand on the floor, arm down by your side, or reach your right arm up, drape your hand behind you, eventually catch your left thigh with your right hand. This is our final minute in child's pose. If you have your right hand draped behind you, reach your right arm up. Place your right hand on the floor for support. Unthread the needle. Last little stretch here. You're going to bring both arms forward, reach your arms forward, sink your hips down, breathe. And as you're ready, you're going to look forward, walk your hands in, slowly press yourself up. There's no rush. Take your time. Whew. And as you're ready, you're going to turn, lie down on your back for our first Savasana or puddle pose of the day, letting everything stretch out. Oh my goodness. Okay, lying on your back, you can open your arms and legs as much as you want. If lying on your back with your legs straight does not feel good to your lower back, you're welcome to place a small pillow or blanket under your lower back. You can also bend your knees so that your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together, and that'll also take pressure away from the back. We're just going to do, again, in Yin Yoga, this is called Puddle Pose versus Savasana. The idea is you're acting like a puddle, right? Just letting everything kind of relax. So in that posture, we really worked into the hips, the inner thighs. At the end of class, right, you might have even felt like tingling in your toes or your knees. You also really lengthen through the spine, the neck, and the shoulders. And we managed to move our spine right, left, and twisting and lengthening in that different upper body variations. There was a lot going on there. The 3 rules of Yin Yoga are simple. You make a shape with your body, you hold a shape, and then you breathe through your nose. That's it. So pretty simple going forward. Okay, as you're ready, you are going to bend your legs, put your feet on the floor, roll off to one side, and then slowly press yourself up, make your way into a seated position. Lovely. Okay, next we're going to do what's called dragon pose or lizard pose, depending on what style of yoga you're doing. So this is one where you might want some books nearby for props. Okay, so placing some books or yoga blocks, if you have them, on either side of you, you're going to come into a tabletop position. And from here, pick a leg. Just remember which leg it is. I'm going to use my right leg first. You're going to place your right foot in between your hands. And as you're ready, start to slide your left knee back so that you feel the hip lengthen. You can have pillows or books on either side of you so that you can put your hands on those books or pillows and you can stack them as high as you want for support. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and grab my phone just to time that. Okay, we're already 30 seconds in. So right away, if this posture does not feel good for your knees, grab some blankets or pillows and place them under your knee, right? So you can put blankets or pillow underneath the knee. And now you've got some padding there, right? We're going to play around with what we're doing with the upper body. At first, you can stay right here with as many blankets and pillows as you want on either side. Or if it feels good, we're about 1 minute in, you can place your hands on your knees and lift your chest. So we're really opening through the left thigh, left hip. Notice if your left hip is opening up, you want to move the left hip down. And if you've ever wanted to do the splits, this low lunge, this dragon pose is a really wonderful intro into doing the splits with even hips. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in the body. There is for sure some activation on the right foot, right? You're pushing the foot into the floor. But other than that, see if you can relax through the hips, relaxing through the hamstring, the knee, the thigh. Breathe through your nose. So in Yin Yoga, right, you're relaxing muscles rather than contracting them. And at a certain point, it can get a little uncomfortable, right? Like I'm a little uncomfortable right now. We're learning how to play around with our edge. So you're not going to a point of pain, but you are occasionally really breathing through some discomfort. With about 1 minute left, you could try a different variation, like coming down, maybe hands to floor, maybe even letting your right knee turn to the right and folding forward. Notice where you're holding on to tension, right? It's a phrase I'll say often, relax through your jaw. Keep your neck long. Relax through your pelvic floor, your hands and feet. And with about 30 seconds left, you can stay where you are in your dragon, or if you want to try out the splits, why not today, right? You just lengthen the left leg back more, reach the right leg forward, and eventually come down. So at the end of the postures, I'll give you an option to go like a little bit deeper into them or try a different variation if you want. Okay, that was 3 minutes. Good for you. As you're ready, you're going to put your hands on the floor. If you're in the splits, you're going to lift your hips up. Slowly trace the right foot back in between the hands. Then you're going to move your hips back, and for a counter stretch, if you want, sink your hips down towards your left heel, flex your right toes back, fold forward, take a breath. And then you're going to look forward, place your hands on the floor, bring yourself back into a tabletop position. We're going to come down onto our abdomen for a belly Savasana. Okay, I'm going to move my props to the side. So yoga should be accessible to everyone. You don't need fancy yoga props, right? Again, you can just use like pillows and blankets and books. If you're lying on your abdomen, you can bend your elbows out so your hands are on the floor. You can drop your head down or maybe look to one side. So I'm going to look to my left with my right ear on the mat. Take an inhale to your nose and an exhale to your nose. So throughout class, we'll alternate between puddle poses on our back and belly savasanas on our abdomen. However, if let's say lying on your stomach really does not feel good for you, lie down on your back instead. Or like if lying on your back does not feel good for you, you can lie on your stomach, right? So just making this class your own. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head, look to the other side. Okay, and then you're going to look forward, and before we do the other side of lizard, we're going to do Sphinx pose. So pick in your mind's eye your favorite Sphinx. It can be the Sphinx in Egypt, the Sphinx at the Luxor in Las Vegas. It can be the Sphinx in Harry Potter book 4. But think about what a Sphinx looks like to you. From here, you're going to look forward, keep your legs long, bend your elbows so that your forearms are on the floor. And this is Sphinx pose, right? So from the front, if you imagine a Sphinx, right? This is kind of what it looks like. Okay, some things to keep in mind. There is some activation in the forearms. I have a tendency to like let my shoulders sink up towards my ears. You do want to push the floor away from you. If lying on your stomach does not feel good, place some blankets underneath your hips and thighs so that your stomach kind of hangs down. You're not putting pressure on your abdomen. Eventually, you could have your elbows underneath your shoulders, but you can also have the arms forward, and that'll decrease the back bend a little bit, but keep it more accessible. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. We're already well into a minute. Okay. So this posture is great healing compression for the spine. You're also stretching the fascia on the chest. So whereas more yang styles of yoga, like vinyasa, hot yoga, power yoga, 26 and 2, right? In those postures, or in those classes, you're holding postures for like maybe a minute, right? Sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more, but you're really pushing yourself to the nth degree. And that helps to stretch out muscles and sometimes like fascia and joints as well. But in yin yoga, you're really working into connective tissue, into your tendons, into your ligaments, into the fascia, that like substance that kind of holds everything in place in your body. And the idea is you hold postures for longer, but you do a little bit less, and you actually end up getting more benefits, right? So sometimes when you're in a posture, at first it doesn't feel like much, and then halfway through, sometimes it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. And then at the end, right, you might really feel a stretch, or the next day you might feel a stretch. So make sure that you're never going to a point of pain. But again, it's this idea of like playing around with your edge, maybe challenging yourself, or just breathing through a little bit of discomfort. A little over a minute left. The shoulders away from the ears. Towards the end of this posture, you can stay right here, knowing that the end is near, Or you can come into seal pose where you're gonna spread your fingers wide, push your palms into the floor and see if you can straighten your arms without lifting the shoulders, right? So shoulders down. This makes it a little bit of a deeper compression to the back. Breathe in. Breathing out, let your feet relax. As you're ready, you're going to slowly bend the elbows if they were straight, and then bring your arms out to the side, back into your puddle pose on your stomach. And if you'd like, maybe this time you can have your arms down by your sides with your palms facing up. Or you can lie on your back if that's speaking to you right now. If you're on your abdomen looking to one side, gently lift your head, look to the other side. And then bring your chin forward, place your hands on the floor, press yourself up into tabletop, and we'll do the other side of dragon. Okay, so if you put your right foot in between your hands in the first side, you're gonna do the other foot. So I'm gonna put my left foot in between my hands, and then you're gonna start to slide your right knee back, really sink the hips down. Now again, you can bring some books to either side of you to put your hands on so you don't come down all the way. You can place a blanket or roll up your mat underneath your knee so that there's extra padding there. And then you're just going to do what you know to do. Make a shape, hold a shape, breathe for 3 minutes on this side. About a minute in, if you'd like, you can come up, placing your hands on your knees, thighs. And keep in mind, we're doing this posture for 3 minutes, but the more you do it, the longer you can do it. So, eventually maybe you could hold this posture for like 10 minutes, right? It's the same way if you go to the gym to lift weights for the first time, you're not gonna try and lift an 100-pound weight. You're gonna like slowly work your way up. Same thing with yoga postures and the duration of the yoga postures. And with that said, if you ever need to take a break, right? Same way that you want to take a break from weightlifting. Breathing through that discomfort, finding your edge. About a minute left. If you'd like, you can try a different variation, maybe letting your knee come out to the left and folding forward more. Try to keep the neck long. And then the final 30 seconds, if you'd like to try the splits on this side, you lengthen that front leg, lengthen the back leg, and come down. And you might find that this side feels different from the other side wherever you are. And that's okay. We're not symmetrical. The goal of yoga is self-realization. Sometimes a byproduct is that you become a little bit more symmetrical, but keep in mind that's not the goal. You can inhale, exhale. If you're in the splits, put your hands on the floor, lift your hips, bring that left foot back between your feet. And then everyone, if you'd like, start to sink your hips back towards the right leg, lengthen through the left leg, flex the toes back, fold forward, nice little counter stretch. And then gently look forward, lift your hips, coming back into tabletop, turn around, lie on your back, puddle pose. And that's the only posture that we will use yoga blocks or books for. So you can set those to the side and then turn and lie on your back. Sometimes the release from a posture can be as intense as the posture itself. A lot of us hold like tension or emotion in our hips and in our chest. So we did those big hip openers, right, with the dragon pose, lizard pose. And then we also did like a heart opener with Sphinx Pose. So if all of a sudden you have an urge like to cry or to laugh or like a certain emotion just kind of overtakes you, that's really normal. Or, you know, maybe when you were in the posture, you kind of felt it, but when you come out, now you like really feel it in your hips, that's normal as well. That's why we give ourselves some time here just to reset between every set of every posture. Next, we're going to do a shoulder heart opener called open wing pose. You're going to bend your legs if they're not already, feet on the floor, roll to one side, and then keep rolling and lie down on your abdomen. You're going to pick an arm. So I'm going to pick my right arm first. You're going to bring your right arm out to the right, perpendicular to your body. So your right arm and side body makes a 90-degree angle. So right arm out to the right. From here, you're going to place your left hand on the floor, close to your shoulder face. Bend your left leg. See if you can start to roll up. So left shoulder stacks on top of right shoulder, left hip on top of right hip. You can have your left foot in front of your right leg or behind your right leg. And what I'm doing might not work for you. You can come down as much as you want. I also might recommend placing a pillow underneath your head so that your head's not dropping off too much. And we're just opening through the right shoulder. Again, bringing your chest and leg down closer to the floor will relieve pressure from the shoulder. Bringing the leg back, lifting the hip, left hip over right hip, left shoulder over right shoulder will intensify the stretch. And we're going to hold here for 4 minutes. So just keep in mind, we're doing it for a while. You can keep your left hand close by your shoulder, by your face, by your chest. You could also reach your left arm up, reach behind you, and eventually maybe even clasp hands together, right? It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. In this posture, we're opening through the pericardium, meridian in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. A lot of Yin Yogis will talk a lot about meridians in Chinese medicine. I in no way consider myself an expert, but I think it's very interesting and something to like look into if you're interested in it. So the pericardium, peri meaning like around and cardium meaning heart. So it's like around the heart space meridian. And it's considered like the protector of your heart. So when we open this meridian, we're opening ourselves up to like joy, right? Oftentimes this meridian will kind of like protect your heart from like fluctuating emotions. So in this class, in this posture, we're just acknowledging that we're in a safe space. So it's like okay to literally open your heart space and the area that surrounds your heart, both on a literal level, right? We're stretching out the chest and shoulder, and on perhaps like a metaphorical level as well, right? That you're just opening yourself up. We're about halfway through. If you need to grab a prop, if you need to like ease up a little bit so that shoulder stretch is not as intense, feel free to change up what you're doing. Otherwise, just holding and breathing. Again, going back to that idea of waiting and waiting. So both being patient and also using your own body weight just to open up the body. With about 30 seconds left, you can stay just as you are, knowing that the end is near. Or you can like deepen the stretch, right? Maybe trying to bring that left hand behind you, clasping hands, maybe lifting the left hip higher, so left hip stacks on top of right hip, or just staying as you are. Okay, if your left hand is straight behind you, you're gonna place your left hand back on the floor in front of you, and then slowly, as you're ready, take your time coming down onto your abdomen. There's no rush, please go slow. And then you can either lie on your back or continue to lie on your abdomen. You can bend your elbows or have your arms down by your side. So, you know, in some yoga classes, right, everybody does like relatively the same thing with a few modifications or options. But in this yoga class, it's like truly yours to make your own, right? So you can lie on your back, on your front. Maybe if you're lying on your stomach, looking in one direction, again, you lift your head and look in the other direction. Okay, and then you're gonna look forward, place your hands on the floor and press yourself up. Next is caterpillar pose, so fun. So you're gonna sit up on your butt with your legs long in front of you. This is a great hamstring stretch and a great way to stretch out our back. From here, you're gonna stick your butt out a little bit and start to fold forward. Now you can do this without props, but you know, you have pillows nearby, so you might as well use them, right? You can place as many blankets or pillows as you want in between your thighs and your chest. You can either fold forward with a rounded spine and let your head hang, or you can really wedge the pillows up towards your abdomen and fold forward with a flat back. Going down with a flat back, almost like there's a board strap to your back, is a great option if you have a history of slip discs or just lower back pain today, because there will be less pressure on the lower lumbar spine. Otherwise, letting your head hang heavy will give you more of a shoulder stretch. So take your time, grabbing as many blankets and pillows as you see fit. We're going to hold here for 4 minutes. And again, you're just making it your own. You want a gentle stretch. If we were holding this posture for like 30 seconds or a minute, I might tell you like, go to your maximum, right? Push. But in this style of yoga, right, do a little bit less. Less is more. Think about doing like 70% of what you think you should be doing. And I will actually offer a quote to you here from a guy named Bernie Clark, who's kind of like the godfather of Yin Yoga. This is a quote from Bernie Clark. He says, "Consider your will and your body as two dancers moving in total unison. Too many beginning and even experienced yoga students make their yoga into a wrestling match, the mind contending with the body, forcing it into postures that the body is resisting. Yoga is a dance, not a wrestling match. And I'll read that one more time because I know I always have to hear things a couple times. Consider your will and your body as two dancers, moving in total unison. Too many beginning and even experienced yoga students make their yoga into a wrestling match, the mind contending with the body, forcing it into postures that the body is resisting. Yoga is a dance, not a wrestling match. So notice where you might be pushing yourself into the posture or wrestling, and instead just make it part of the dance. Enjoy. About 1 minute left. If you need to like grab pillows or remove pillows, anything like that, feel free. Otherwise, just holding where you are. With about 30 seconds left, if you want to get a deeper stretch, you can remove some of those pillows and like really fold forward. Okay, as you're ready, slowly walk your hands in, press yourself up. If you want, you can put your hands behind you and do a little flash dance moment. Lift your hips, drop your head, counter stretch. And then bring your hips back down, lie on your back. Savasana or Puddle Pose. So Yin Yoga, again, kind of comes as a reaction to more Yang styles of yoga. The Yang energy is associated with like solar energy. It's super energetic. It's masculine. It's the right side of the body, the left brain, versus Yin energy is considered passive. It's considered feminine. It's the left side of body, right brain. And these binaries in Chinese medicine and in like Yin and Yang yoga are really interesting, but I also have to say, like, I don't believe in binaries in the same way that, you know, when we think black and white, well, there's also gray. When we think like sun and moon, well, there's also like sunset or like a foggy day, right? Or sunrise. And of course, when we think like masculine and feminine, well, we know that there's a lot of richness in between those two, you know, ends of the spectrum as well, right? And we all know folks who, you know, are fluid or who like don't check a neat gender box category. So just keep that in mind, even when we talk about like yin energy or yin yoga. I do not believe in binaries. And I think actually some of the more interesting stuff that comes out of yin yoga is those moments where like there is a little bit of activation, right? Or you are using a little bit of muscle strength somewhere, right? Those in-between points, remembering that it's more like a spectrum or a wheel rather than like a hard binary. Okay, let's do the other side of open wing. So you're going to bend your legs, roll off to one side this time. So if you had your right arm out to the side in the first set, and I'm going to guess that you remember because like my shoulder still feels it, you're going to do the other side. So bring your left arm out to the side. You can have your arm perpendicular to your body or like not quite a 90-degree angle, right? You can have it a little closer to your side. Bring your right hand close to your right shoulder, push your hand on the floor, start to roll to the left. Eventually, you're going to bend that right leg, put your right foot on the floor, either in front of your leg or behind it. And I really like to have a pillow underneath my head. So you're welcome to grab a pillow too. Okay. And from here, you can keep your right hand in front of you, or eventually you can reach your right hand behind you and clasp your hands together, holding here for 4 minutes. Where's my timer? I'm sitting on it. Okay. And you might find that this side feels different from the other side, right? It probably will for the vast majority of us. And you might know why that is, right? Like an injury, a surgery, an illness, just like maybe this is the shoulder that you carry your purse on and you know that you're a little bit tighter there. Or you might have no idea why this shoulder feels tighter today. And that's normal too. Again, a byproduct of yoga is like stretching the body, strengthening the body, becoming more symmetrical. But the goal is self-realization, right? Getting to know yourself better, getting to love yourself a little bit better. And part of that self-realization is as simple as, hey, I didn't know until now that my left shoulder was tighter than my right shoulder. That's really interesting, right? So rather than like, I don't know, shaming yourself or being upset about like, why is this hip tighter than the other hip? It's just an opportunity to get to know yourself a little better. About halfway through, notice if you are wrestling with the posture or dancing with the posture. Notice where you might be holding on to something, afraid to let go. Just see if you can relax the body a little bit more, waiting and waiting. Almost to the end, you can stay just as you are, or if you want that deeper stretch, maybe try clasping your hands together or lifting the right hip up a little bit more. Okay. You have your right hand behind you. You're going to reach your right arm up, place your right hand on the floor, close to your chest, your shoulder, and then very slowly, there's no rush, roll back onto your abdomen. Remove any pillows you have. Lie on your abdomen or your back. And let that one go. If you're on your abdomen looking to one side, you can gently lift your head and look to the other side. And then as you're ready, lift your head and you're just gonna roll back onto your back if you're not there already. Lying on your back. Okay. Bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor. You can have your arms down by your side or out to the side or bent cactus like goalposts. And here, bring knees, feet close together and start to roll to one side. So I'm going to roll to my left so that right hip stacks on top of left hip, right knee on top of left knee, right leg, right foot on top of right foot. Option to stay here, or straighten your bottom leg to the back of your mat. Right knee stays bent. Option to stay here, or kick your right foot out to the side. So now you get a nice side leg stretch. It's great for stretching the IT band. If you want, you could even catch your foot with your hand. Option to stay here, or bend your left leg, your bottom leg, and see if you can catch your left foot with your right hand, with right shoulder on the mat. So the left leg is bent, stretching the quadricep. And if you've done all of that, like you're catching your feet with your hand, this posture is called cat pulling its own tail, which I know at least one cool cat, Sweet Tea, in this Zoom will very much appreciate. So this is a spine twist. It's an abdominal wall stretch, right twist. It's good for digestion. If your top leg, in my case, my right leg, if your top leg is kicked out, you're stretching the right IT band. And if your bottom leg, in my case, my left leg is bent, you're stretching the quadricep muscle. And if your hands and feet don't quite connect, that's okay. You can just have them close together, right? Or as close together as they can, but they don't have to be touching. And, connecting hands and feet together sure is part flexibility, but keep in mind it's also just body proportions, like how long your legs are, how long your arms are. Holding here for one more minute. If bottom leg is bent for cat pulling its own tail, let go of that grip, straighten the bottom left leg. If right leg is kicked out, bend the right leg, and then slowly roll back to center, right hip down, arms and legs down, puddle pose. And let's do the other side. Bend your legs, knees, feet together, roll to the other side. So I'm going to roll to my right, left hip on top of right hip, left knee on top of right knee, left foot on top of right foot. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. Option to stay here or straighten your bottom leg. Option to stay here or kick your left foot out and eventually even clasp hand and foot together. Option to stay here or cat pulling its own tail. Bend your right leg, catch your left foot with right hand, hold and breathe. Notice where you're wrestling the posture. Just try to dance instead. Notice where you're holding on to tension rather than fighting the posture, fighting yourself. Melt into your breath. Sink into the floor. If your bottom leg is bent, straighten that back leg. If your top leg is straight, bend the top leg. Slowly roll to the left. Arms and legs down. Final puddle pose. Make this puddle pose as bougie as you want it. You can put blankets over your body. You can place a pillow under your head, under your knees, under your lower back, right? Make it your own, have a little bit of fun with it. And once you've got your props to your liking, you're just gonna close your eyes, open your arms and legs as much as feels good for you. And take a nice slow breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension, even still. Just give yourself permission to relax. Not like it's a destination, a place that you go to and then you're there forever. Just give yourself like temporary permission to let go. Just for a few breaths. Breathing in. And slowly breathing out. Feel your body move with every breath, like waves in the ocean. There's a quote in one of my favorite movies, Y tu mama tambien, that says, it's how the movie ends actually, it says, life is like the surf, so give yourself away like the sea. Life is like the surf, so give yourself away like the sea. Just breathing in and out, like surf on the sea. Stay in final Savasana for as long as you'd like, and even just take a nap. When you do decide to get up, do so mindfully. Maybe take your time sitting up for a while before you come to standing. We've been on the floor for a while, especially if you have low blood pressure, you want to go slow. If you've ever gotten a professional massage afterwards, they give you water. Part of the idea is like you really work through your muscles, right? So you want to flush that out. Same thing with Yin Yoga. Make sure that you're drinking a lot of water afterwards because you really did work through the connective tissue in your body with those long holds. So make sure that you're drinking water to flush all of that out. Have a wonderful evening. Hope to see you all soon. Thanks so much for joining, friends.